evening. I'm Olga Nesterova and welcome to the special episode of Lite Night. Today we round up the first week of February, the Black History Month. And although it is the shortest month of the year, our desire is to make it a significant one and convince you that every month could and should be a Black History Month. On a side note, this episode has been recorded prior to Super Bowl kickoff, so we congratulate whoever won and the weekend on its timely performance. And so here we are, about a day away from the second impeachment trial for now former President of the United States, Donald Trump. This week has shown us some insights into the upcoming trial. Trump's 5 leading lawyers have resigned after referring to a disagreement over his legal strategy. Understandable, really. By now we all have heard about him allegedly not paying his bills and dictating, literally, the sentences and strategies to his lawyers. Not sure who ultimately ended up misspelling United States in his defense brief to the Senate, but this gave us a little preview into what to expect. Will Trump be convicted? Highly unlikely. The criticism voiced by several Republicans in the beginning of January has softened ever since, and the test vote on January 26 showed us the real picture of U-turn-loving, spineless politics where only 5 Republicans voted against dismissing the trial. This time, it will take us 2/3 of the 100-member Senate to convict Trump. Assuming all 50 Democrats vote that Trump is guilty, still 17 Republicans would be needed to make it happen. Will we hear from him? Nope. His lawyers were very quick to reject the request by impeachment managers for him to testify. Democrats will reportedly heavily rely on the footage, while Trump's defense will allegedly try to get the emotions out of the way, claiming Trump was using simply his freedom of speech when encouraging the folks to walk on Capitol Hill. See, in the moments like this, it becomes essential for us, for you, to build your own opinion. Watch the videos, listen to Trump's speech on your own, and think, what would you decide if you were the one to make the decision? Ultimately, we the people are in charge. In fact, it's all about the consequences. Will Trump face consequences for his actions? Liz Cheney had to face an entire vote on whether she deserves to stay and keep her position as number 3 in the Republican leadership. Will he? What we saw was senseless tweets, claims, loud speeches, and tremendously made-up facts. Big election lie performed to the sounds of YMCA. Remember that dance? Yeah, this song was also grabbed by something it wasn't expecting. Will he become unable to run for an office, and will he face legal consequences over his actions? It's not even about that. I know, shocking, but most importantly, it is about showing that no president thereafter, which might include him potentially as well, may incite an insurrection against the government he was elected and sworn in to represent and defend. Let's circle back to MTG. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the QAnon princess who claimed that Republican Party belongs to no one else but Trump, after being stripped off her committees by the Democratic representatives plus 11 of her own Republican Party earlier this week. Same as the infamous QAnon guy. Remember the one with spectacular horns and fur, who after storming the Capitol claimed that Trump is still president? She still stands with the Q, and GOP disregards it. Or does it? Does lack of consequences and seriousness in approach show disregard or rather acceptance? And if the latter is the case, does it mean that the GOP does welcome and endorse representatives of provocative hate groups who do nothing but spread conspiracy theories meant to divide the nation? Conspiracy theories that add more fear to already quite fearful time. Why aren't there any consequences? Why does everyone, aside those 11 Republicans, stand by someone who publicly supports violence and harasses teenagers? You decide. President Biden delivered his first speech on foreign policy, stating that, I quote, "America is back, diplomacy is back." He struck a different note than his predecessor and intended to apply a rather rational approach to countries like Russia. Yes, we all remember Trump's speeches on making America great again. See, America First was rather a slogan than a strategy. It was glorious, loud, and provocative. Yet, when it comes to politics, history shows that nationalist policies aren't always favorable for the nation itself. Same as thinking you can be in complete disregard of your neighbors when living in an apartment building is a fantasy, so was the policy the world had to get used to. President Biden has asked to release Navalny and people who attended multiple protests in his support, but what can America actually do? Changing policies aimed to specific officials might be a better option rather than general sanctions, but we leave it to those in charge. And then the shocker of the week that shook the media world. In his interview to CBS, President Biden was asked whether former President Trump does need to receive further security briefings. President Biden said that, in short, Trump is erratic in his behavior and doesn't need to receive any security briefings as there is no real use for it. Worst comes to worst, he might, and I quote, just slip and say something. May I suggest, a tiny edit, just slip and sell something. Trump's ties to foreign governments are quite infamous, and so a day when the best kept secrets would hit the market would be a very dark one for America. So it becomes a question of the possible cost of negligence, a cost of potential mishap. What do you think is the right way about it? We continue our first episode of this month with a special segment dedicated to celebration of Black History Month. The intention is not only to celebrate the rich culture and incredible figures, but to shine the light on a variety of industries and people with desire to listen and learn. Tonight I'm joined by the incredible actress and creator of the chic company, Esme. Please welcome Erica Blackman. Hi Erica, welcome to the show. I'm so honored to be talking to you today.
Hi, thank you for having me again. Very happy to be here.
Yes, this is awesome. I know it's a tiny bit a different setting. I know you featured on Black Owned Season 3, which is I'm super excited to share with the world. But, today this segment is dedicated to Black History Month. And thank you for helping me to kick it off. The main intention here is to offer our viewers, people of all races and ages, to learn. And perhaps also to learn how to be comfortable discussing things that we actually are uncomfortable talking about. So, first question, as an actress in Hollywood, how would you describe your experience as an African-American actress in Hollywood now in 2021?
Well, now in 2021, I still have a long way to go with my career as an actress, meaning I have yet to accomplish many goals that I set for myself, but my experience has been challenging and rewarding all at the same time. You know, since becoming a full-time actress, I've been rejected so many times, like many people in life, but I've always, I strive to build amazing relationships, and I have built a lot of long-lasting, lifelong friendships, and I'm excited to just see where my future goes within my career.
That's awesome. We too. I'm excited too. But speaking of representation, do you see any changes through the past years? Because I know several people have won awards, and also if we think of Tyler Perry, he opened his own studio. So what changes do you see now in Hollywood as addressing and welcoming African-American actors and the culture itself?
I have seen some changes since being in LA itself, but I definitely think that they've listened to the messages that we send out about representation.
Mm-hmm.
I strongly believe representation is extremely powerful because it shows everyone has a place in this world, right? At a very young age, you find interest in hobbies, and you want to be a teacher or an astronaut or, president of the United States, an actress, whatever it may be. Seeing someone that looks like you is inspiring, and it may encourage you to keep following your dreams and your passion, because that could be you. So I definitely think representation is still getting stronger. It's not fully there yet, but I do believe that people in Hollywood are working on it. Yeah,
Right.
I strongly believe that.
Right. And I think also, if you think of movies or documentaries, it is all about storytelling. So featuring people, Black people telling the stories, describing the experience and everything that's going on is essential for us to learn and also for people to identify with. Right. So
Mhm.
yeah. And how important is it? Because we see representation. So people get hired and the roles are here in the movies. If you look at Netflix, recent movies are amazing, featuring Zendaya. So Zendaya, it's all beautiful. Now, how important is it to see people you can identify with actually winning things, winning awards like Oscars, Golden Globes? How important is it for actors who are new and also established like you?
It's extremely important. Like I said, people they want to see themselves in the mainstream media. They want to see a good representation of themselves. And a lot of the times when we have writers that are trying to tell a black story, it's not told correctly,
Mhm.
and it's told based on their attitude towards a black person or a
Right.
minority in this country. And with that, it reveals their opinion and it dominates the mainstream media. So I definitely think it's important for writers to actually research what they're writing, and I think that it's important to have categories specifically to minorities,
Mm,
because I think that within the award system, um,
mm, mm,
because like it's really like it's sprinkled in there,
mhm.
like best actress. I don't know them off the top of my head, but the best actress for a drama. It's uh, I know Viola Davis, and then there's some other actors in there, but she's the only minority that I'm aware of. I don't know them off the top of my head, but they're always just sprinkled in there. And
Right.
I think that's just part of the lack of roles that are written for
Mhm.
minorities or Black women. Um, yeah, so I definitely think it's very important to see that representation in the award ceremonies, as well as just within the entertainment industry itself.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect point to have a separate category. So you have, yes, you have to fill the category so it will provide more opportunities. That's excellent. Yes, Hollywood,
Yeah,
here. Come on now.
yeah,
And now,
definitely.
and let's talk about casting. And I know it might be a little tough subject, but casting is very connected, literally, to Hollywood. In order to get roles or cast people. So, is there anything that still needs to be addressed? Maybe that you experienced, and you can go as much or as little in detail, but anything that we need to talk about, actually.
Uh, I think I think it's the terminology we still use, or casting directors or production itself use in casting people. I think that they use words that make them look more diverse. You
Mm,
know, specifically, they mostly use all type or all ethnicities is what I see a lot.
mhm,
And again, I just think that's their way of trying to be more diverse.
mm,
When in reality, mostly when writers write, they know who they're writing for. So
exactly.
that is what makes me think that they're just trying to be more diverse.
Mm,
Which brings me back to another point, or the point that we already mentioned, that writers just need to learn other stories other than, the one they want to tell, which is the mainstream media, of non-minorities.
mhm.
So I think that uh, we have to be the change we want to see,
Right.
which is a statement that is literally a driving force in Hollywood. It's a statement that a lot of my friends in the industry are using, and they're writing and they're producing their own projects, which is something, it's very essential and it's beautiful and it needs to be done.
Right.
So yeah.
Hmm. And I think, in Hollywood, it's literally change you want to see because you're going to see it.
Yeah.
And I feel that, whatever you see on TV becomes real, becomes important. Even on the phone and the little series, whatever, yes. But on TV, it's like, wow, they were on TV or nominated for something. So that's essential. But you touched on a very interesting subject in terms of terminology. And I know for me as a white person, often we don't know the right things to say. And so, to play devil's advocate, we try to describe certain things. We say, oh, we need a type of, or we don't need a type of that. And then I think it ends up hurting people because if we say, oh, your type is not that what we're looking for. So tell me which type, right?
Yeah.
So how important it is for casting people in this regard to learn the right terminology when it comes to hair, when it comes to perhaps ethnicity. How important is it, and would you welcome that change if they would be specific?
Yes, I would definitely welcome that change. I mean, I see it sometimes within casting. I still submit myself to roles, so when I'm looking, I look to see um, what ethnicity they're looking for.
Hmm.
And sometimes I would see someone with an afro, or it's something very broad, like curly afro or just afro.
Hmm.
And they don't mention braids or anything else. Like they mention short, medium, long hair.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think the term that they use for African Americans is mostly afro or straight hair. I've never seen ethnic hair before. I mean, that can mean so
Hmm. Right.
many things. So I am definitely open to them being more specific as to what they want. At first, it was triggering for me because I didn't understand the industry when I first started,
Hmm.
and not not that it was triggering, but it was like, oh, this is weird that they want an urban look with like
Exactly.
big afro, but that's definitely how they get the characters that they want. Um, I'm not sure the right terminology they would use for afro, other than just afro,
Right.
but. Yes, so I definitely am open to seeing what else that they would come up with, as long as it's, of course, not offensive to anyone. Um,
Right.
but lately, I haven't seen anything that's been offensive for me.
And I think, if I'm correct, you're talking about typecasting too, because when you talk about, urban, what is urban and what do we refer to? And I know there is a change, and I know we see movies where we see African American lawyers and doctors and, portraying all sorts of professions, not just whatever people call urban. But I think for us is important, for us, I'm talking about white people, learn terminology, learn how to call a certain hairstyle or a certain anything. Learn it because it's not all urban, and it hurts people when you try to walk around it.
Mhm.
Um, like
Yeah.
I grew up in Germany, and I told you when we pre-chatted, and they have a good saying: "Call the kid by the name." When somebody starts talking around the subject, they're like, "Call the kid by the name." Imagine you have a kid in kindergarten. You're not going to describe, "Hey, you with a curly blonde hair, come here." No, you call it by the name, so it comes to you, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. I totally agree with that. And you brought up another point about typecasting,
Hmm.
and it's I think that also needs to sort of change. I've been told, not change, but like it can be done better. I'm currently seeking an agent, and when I submit myself to agencies, they would get back to me and say, "Oh, we already have your type," and it's like,
Mm.
"Well, what's my type?"
Right.
uh, and I will go on their website and just some casting, or not casting, but agencies. They show their roster on their website, and I would see, out of the 50 people on their roster, maybe five Black people,
Mm-hmm.
2 girls, 3 guys, but and it's like, oh wow, okay, all these other, you know, these non-minorities are on your page, but they all fit the same typecast, but you only need 2 of me, which is it's
Wow.
kind of weird, but I do come
Mm.
across that, and I think we need to be better about that. I've also done background work where I was with Cast or not casting, but Central Casting is a popular background agency in Los Angeles, and you have to call in. When I first did it, you had to call the number when they posted something, and the lines will be busy. So you're basically online all day trying to get through so you can get the job.
Wow.
And once someone finally answers, they you tell them your name and they look you up in their system, and they would say either yes or no. Most of the time, if they say no, they will say we already have your type, which is, and then they'll hang up, which it made me so upset. I'm like, I'm on this phone for hours and you say no and just hang up. But normally they would have they just have 5 people in your category, which is, African American woman, short, tall, light or dark, and then the rest of the casting or the rest of the people they want to cast are white people or, non-minorities, which is it's sad, but I do still see it.
I mean, what I learned in New York, for instance, there are different projects. So let's say if we talk about, um, the project Ghost or the project, any project that has majority of actors or cast is African American, they would look for such. But in general, you're absolutely right. That how can you cast one person just because it fits you the mold? Oh, you got one. You don't want to look like, expand your knowledge also about it and pick also the best one. Like, what's the casting for? You know? This
Mm-hmm.
is, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And when I came to US, honestly, that's perhaps funny, but when I was landing first time in the United States, they gave me the form to fit in and they're like, put your race on. And I'm like, I never had to do that. I lived in 3 countries beforehand. I have to do. And this is actually weird, but I had to Google Caucasian. I was like, what the does it have to do with Caucasian, like with the mountains? Or what do you think? What is that? Like, what is that? And
Yeah.
I had to Google. I was like, oh, that means white. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, okay, and then you call African Americans, like, so I'm European American, and everybody stared at me like, what are you talking about? That it was North Carolina. And I said, why do you have to profile people? Because for me, it feels painful. Why do I have to tell, African American, so call Asian American and, European American or whatever. So, and when they cast all, races or whatever, would you prefer to, because my question is here, especially on this program, how to get unity, right? Because we talk about getting united and all that. And we talked in this episode, about consequences and what politicians have to face before we actually can speak about unity. But when it comes to equality and racial equality, what would you wish to see in terms of changes in U.S. now and perhaps in the coming years?
Uh, Definitely, we all want to see change. This past year for the U.S. has been a roller coaster in 2020 with all the Black Lives Matter movements and all the marches and the murdering of Black males. It's been very heartbreaking and just seeing our country just break because of how it was built. Basically, it's horrible, and I definitely want to see change within you know um,
The system.
the system. Definitely, uh, all around. We elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, so hopefully the change starts soon, very soon, because we need it. Um,
Mm,
yeah, definitely.
change in the system, and that applies for Hollywood or anything else. And
Yeah.
um, absolutely, yes. And from vaccines to to casting and policing, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. And here we are. So this is Black History Month. I mentioned in this program right at the beginning that I feel that every month should and could be Black History Month, especially in the United States. But we chose somehow the shortest one. I have to Google why. But you know, a lot of businesses actually feature their specials, and actually it was weird. I spoke to a few African American business owners, and they said we don't want to feature specials on Black History Month because we want to be for everybody and not to profile ourselves. You are a business owner. You're the founder and creator of Asme, a company I love and everybody should check out.
Yes.
um, and see the descriptions and all the notes, and please click, and we're going to talk about the special in a second. Do you think it is important for Black owned businesses to feature specials, especially this month, and actually celebrate it? Or does it mean you limit yourself? What's your take on it?
I think people or Black-owned businesses have the right to celebrate it or not, or honor it or not. But in reality, we honor it every day of our life, not
Mm-hmm.
just in February, but it's just known to be the month that we celebrate it. But for us, it's just our reality, and I wanted to celebrate and honor it just because it is something special. Black history is special for me, and I want to build my company around being proud and honoring other people's achievements. And I want to have my company be a whole community. So I do
Mm-hmm.
want to welcome people stories, and I want to hear people's journeys. And yes, I do believe in celebrating and honoring Black history. So yeah.
That's awesome. And real quick, you started your company, and can you talk with the purpose? But the purpose actually to help your community, to address, to help people take care of their hair and also to look beautiful. What was the intention behind starting your company and offering the specific product you offer?
Mhm. Well, for me, it was just about me being very minimal with my hairstyles, and I've
Hmm.
always worn scarves. My mother taught my sister and I to take care of our hair at night by putting on a scarf to keep the moisture in and not, have breakage. So it's always been something I've done with my hair. And I thought, so why not sell something I love? So I started creating and designing, and I came up with my scarves, and I wear them every day. It's easy for me because I can just, do my hair in my two little braids and put them up.
Look gorgeous.
And thank you. I'm very minimal with my hairstyle, so I love my scarves, and it was very important for me to very, very very detailed with how I made them because I wanted to reflect uh, how others deal with their hair in the Black community.
Hmm.
Um, some people are very minimal because our hair gets so dry and so damaged, even if you touch it because it's so dry. If you manipulate it too much, your hair can
Mm.
it can break off. Um, because our hair it's very curly. Curls are tight, so it's hard for the natural oils to come through all the way up because our hair is so curly and kinky. Um, so it was important for me to develop something that would protect my hair, definitely.
Wow. So what is the special for this month, celebrating Black History Month?
So for this month, I definitely want to honor people's stories and accomplishments, and I want people to be proud. So I wanted to have people send me their stories, and with that, they would receive 30% off, and they'll be featured on our website and our social media platforms. And I also have a buy one, get one for 15% off. And that code is on our website as well. It's Black History Month. That's the code. And yes, I would love to hear people's stories. So if they could email us, everything is on our website. They can research that.
That is awesome. I love the idea. I wasn't even aware of what you're going to say, but this, I love it. Beautiful. Yes. And we need that also when if you watch this or you listen to this episode, go to the description, you will find Erica's website and also social media, the company, ASME, and also Erica's personal profile. So get connected, get in touch, start working together. And thank you so much for joining me today. This was really needed. Thank you for helping me to kick off this month.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And again, I'm going back to our conversation. I'm really proud that this industry is listening, or at least they're trying to.
Mhm.
So thank you for letting me share my light and my culture background, as far as everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And so the question is, what is the cost of not doing something? What is the cost of not passing the appropriate stimulus package? Of not having a legitimate plan as to how to save the nation from this evergreen COVID virus? What is the cost of not addressing the racial inequality? As they say in business, you may your whole life work to build the reputation, and yes, your good reputation might work for you, but one disastrous approach after another will ultimately make it all disappear. If we want to be known as this land of opportunity and bright future, we need to work for it. We need to make first and foremost sure that the bright future and opportunities are well available to our own. We need to work on ourselves and with each other, building our society brick by brick and day by day. Let's make America care again. Because to quote Amanda Gorman, we're not the nation that is broken, but simply unfinished. I thank my dear guest Erica Blackman, and I thank you for watching us today. Have a good night and a great week ahead. I'm Olga Nesterova, and I see you here in just 1 week on Lite Night.